it's a certain
Lightening
time.
up the mood.
Yeah, lightening up the mood. But I might make everyone smile because it's a certain time. Everyone, it's I'm proud to say it. It's a little bit of a time, maybe. It's Tulsi Gabbard.
Wearing that scandalous white pantsuit.
So why
doesn't that make her a cultist?
Yeah.
I've been told that.
Yep, and apparently the New York Times don't like that pantsuit either. So, but they loved Hillary Clinton when she was.
They loved AOC wearing it too.
Yeah, I guess so. So go figure.
I guess
she had the flappies. Yeah. She had the flappies.
Yeah. Well, I guess you just can't be
AOC's that had.
I didn't notice it.
And the flappies.
If I'm going to be a little facetious, I guess you can't be Hindu and wear that pantsuit, according to New York Times.
Yeah.
Who knows? So. Maybe that's what they meant.
All right. So, anyways, why are we talking about Tulsi Gabbard? Well, as we all know, Tulsi Gabbard's been getting a lot of heat for her president vote, which, mind you, I'm going to only speak for myself and not for Hardlands and not for any of my team members, but I believe in that president vote, and I support her for that. It was a very brave thing to do, and in regards to seeing how much of a joke this impeachment process is, it's hilarious to see how this whole thing is unfolding and what's becoming of it. And Tulsi Gabbard had some choice words for Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi. That's right, Nancy Pelosi. So in regards to this, Nancy Pelosi is still holding on to 2 articles of impeachment and has yet to hand it in to the Senate. And Tulsi Gabbard said, you just can't shift and change and make up the rules as you go along. If you're going to pursue this process, you've got to let it play out the whole way through. Delaying their delivery perpetuates a sense of hyper-partisanship. This is just not a part of the Democrats. You see those who are defending Donald Trump. You see a blind loyalty to their party's leader. Again, we're seeing, just remember, Nancy Pelosi was the one leading the charge on this one. Granted, she was forced into it. And now she has the articles of impeachment. Impeachment has passed, but yet she's still holding on to them, and she has yet to introduce it into the Senate. So, of course, Tulsi Gabbard, the person who voted president, is going to say this. Nancy Pelosi, hand them in. I mean, granted, we got past the House. It has to go into the Senate now. I mean, otherwise, what is this whole thing about? Now, there are people who are saying that Nancy Pelosi has this great strategic mind and that somehow she's waiting for the Republicans to give in to the Democratic demands. The Republicans are never going to do that. And then number 2, the idea of Nancy Pelosi possibly holding on to this until after the election, maybe in a hypothetical scenario where, I don't know, Trump wins. Well, then wait a minute. What makes you think that the Senate is going to become Democrat or majority Democrat? The only way the Senate could become majority Democrat is if there's a strong progressive candidate, I don't know, Bernie Sanders, who gets the nomination. But if the DNC decides to commit election fraud and they elect a corporatist like, I don't know, Biden or Bloomberg, well, then be prepared to see the Democrats not only lose in the Senate, but in the House. And Nancy Pelosi did all this work for nothing, and impeachment means nothing, and this was all hyped up for nothing. So yeah, Tulsi Gabbard has every right to push back and call out Nancy Pelosi. Nancy Pelosi has to hand in the articles of impeachment. It's now or never. This is something that corporate media has been speaking about, screaming about for 3 years. Let's make it happen. Now, of course, we all know how the Republicans are going to vote on this, but this is something that Nancy Pelosi and the Democrats and corporate media have been wanting to do for some time, maybe, possibly. I don't know what kind of mindset Nancy Pelosi has, but you know what? Tulsi Gabbard is correct on this. She's calling her out, and she has every right to call out Nancy Pelosi because the Democrats and Republicans are so divided right now. It's going to impact our country. It's going to impact a lot of people, and let's just get this thing over with. I find it to be a joke. I don't know. Paul, Daniel, take it away. What do you think on Tulsi Gabbard calling out Nancy Pelosi? Daniel.
So, yeah, we've been talking about this, and we can just run a very simple if-then statement. And this goes right to why Tulsi Gabbard is being attacked so much. It's been crazy. Like, we were just watching before the show, Cenk and Anna talk about what a terrible decision she did to call herself president. So let's just do a quick if-then experiment. So the question is, maybe we could start a little further back. What's the point of impeachment? Is the point of impeachment to say, hey, we have a president who has done unacceptable acts, and we need to start a process with the purpose of removing them for office? If that's the answer to their question, then they're not doing it correct. We've already gone through many different shows about how you could hit Trump on emoluments, which would make way more sense than what they're hitting him on now. Hit him on emoluments, hit him on Saudi Arabia money, and have that go to, you can really tie him directly to genocide. That's something that you can use to get it out. But Democrats don't want to indict themselves. Most of the things Trump has done, Democrats have also done. So they don't want to indict themselves. So what's left? Something that also they indict themselves with, and that's with Biden. So the House, which is Democrat-led, goes through the process and says, we're going to do this impeachment. Impeachment's a two-part step, just like writing a bill. House passes a bill, doesn't make it law. House passes impeachment, doesn't mean that Trump's out of office, doesn't mean anything else. It just means that a grand jury of sorts has come and said that this is what they're going to do. And I want to remind people that the Democrats are treating this impeachment process a bit like we treated Afghanistan. No real goal, no real strategy, just go in there and say you've done stuff and stay there to say you keep doing stuff. So we think that, and we have a decent track record on getting these right, that this is just political. They're not actually trying to get Trump out of office because they can't. They know the Senate is that way. But again, the Constitution's written a certain way, so you got to follow it. So if the Republicans are being big, meanie poo-poo heads or whatever you want Nancy Pelosi wants to call it, that doesn't matter. You are given the hand you were given. You have to play it as is. And they are trying to skirt around it by literally like holding a game of poker up by saying, put your hand down. I'm going to go to the bathroom, and then just go out the back window and pretend to invalidate the hand. That's not how it works. That's not how you can do these things. If all they do is say Trump's impeached and they expect that to last or mean anything, it means nothing. It is no goal accomplished. It is Afghanistan again. It has no purpose. The only way that any of this works is if Trump is knocked out of office. Of course, forget that gives us Pence, which is a whole nother issue altogether. But that's not going to happen. Trump will be running in 2020. He will be the candidate to go up against. So why are we okay with Tulsi Gabbard hitting present? Because none of this matters, and it's a big distraction away from what should be the reality of Democrats running to win, not punching buckets of water.
All right, Paul.
So up until, I guess, relatively late in the day, even on Wednesday, everyone was like, it's going to pass in the House. It's going to the Senate. He's dragging it from office. Well, okay. Maybe we need to win a lot of Republicans. Maybe it's not that likely. So there was a lot of hanging of heads and wringing of hands. Well, at least he's getting impeached in the House. And it's unfortunate that it's unlikely that it'll pass in the Senate. And then Thursday morning, everyone woke up immediately a constitutional scholar, and everyone was like, oh, we knew this was going to happen. Didn't you read that Lawrence Tribe article from June? Like, everyone already knew about it. Everyone just pretended that they weren't saying the thing that they were saying the day before. And this Lawrence Tribe article from June spells out this specific strategy.
All right, so what's the strategy then?
So the strategy is pass it in the House, don't deliver the articles to the Senate, and because you know that they won't convict. And then what you're doing is you're actually upholding the Constitution because you know that those dastardly partisans in the Senate won't actually uphold the duty. We've made the public case, so now we get to take it to the streets. We will make sure that the people know that it is completely right and that we have proven beyond a doubt that this is impeachable, and those dastardly the senators over there, they will not uphold their oath to the Constitution. And look how good we are by showing you that and upholding the Constitution and preventing them from obstructing justice occurring here. And so Lawrence concludes his article saying this, the point would not be to take old school House impeachment leading to possible Senate removal off the table at the outset. Instead, the idea would be to build into the very design of this particular inquiry an off-ramp that would make bypassing the Senate an option, while also nourishing hope that the public fully educated about what this president did would make even a Senate beholden to this president and manifestly lacking in political courage, willing to bite the bullet to remove him. By resolving now to pursue such a path, always keeping open the possibility that this inquiry would unexpectedly lead to a president's exoneration, the House would be doing the right thing as a constitutional matter. It would be acting consistent with its overriding obligation to establish that no president is above the law, all while keeping an eye on the balance of political considerations without setting the dangerous precedent that there are no limits to what a corrupt president can get away with so long as he has a compliant Senate to back him. And pursuing this course would preserve for all time the tale of this uniquely troubled presidency. That's like, let's be political obstructionists. Let's have a giant political show, and that will show everyone that we're right. That's what we're going to do. We're going to prevent the process from going through, and somehow that is going to convince the people that we are right. We're not going to uphold our constitutional responsibility to do the next step. We're going to put a stop on it, and by obstructing this justice, somehow by refusing to uphold our responsibilities, that will show our commitment to the Constitution that we're flagrantly violating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so many different things. First of all, this is therefore simply political in nature, and everyone that is calling out, and mark my words on this, everyone that is in the last couple days, whether it be TYT or anyone else, which is most of the stations, sadly, that are calling out Tulsi Gabbard for making a terrible decision will, and I guarantee this, not agree with themselves in about a month or two when this process gets finished. Then when the Senate eventually does say, hey, he's innocent, again, which we've called ahead of time, they're going to say, man, wasn't it a bad idea for the Democrats to go down this impeachment route? Yeah, why the hell everyone will start clamoring? Yeah, it was so stupid. Why did Nancy Pelosi go down this route? I was never on that side, even though I was on that side.
I want to make something very clear. I think this whole impeachment thing from the very beginning, even when people were screaming about it in 2016, was a big joke. I mean, this is something that Trump thrives on. And you know what? Recently, today, this morning, Trump basically wants this impeachment thing to happen. He's calling for this trial to happen. Nancy Pelosi, Democrats, and everyone else who is cheerleading for it, hello, he wants the impeachment trial to happen. He's calling you out. He's calling you out to the fight. You did it in the House, you passed it, and everyone's screaming, Merry impeachment, which is the dumbest thing I've ever fucking heard. But guess what? It's not going to happen. You have to hand in those articles to the Senate. Make it happen now, because the longer you sit on it, the more and more Trump is going to capitalize on it. He's going to call you cowards. He's going to call you all weak. And you know what? The very fact that none of you are doing this right now or screaming at Nancy Pelosi right now to do this says a lot about your character and how you really feel about this impeachment. Because remember, you're going to have to face Trump in the general election. The Republicans made it very clear they're not having any kind of primary. So unless Trump dies of a heart attack, no primary. Trump is the nominee. It's done. It's settled. It's over. And so Tulsi Gabbard, once again, is correct for voting present. I don't see anyone else screaming at other Democrats, oh, those two Democrats that voted no. Hey, everybody, how come you're not yelling at those two Democrats? Why? Oh, because it's easy to target Tulsi Gabbard, who's been smeared by corporate media. It's easy to target Tulsi Gabbard and say that she's a Russian asset, Assad apologist, or she's running third party, or at least I can't figure out why Cenk is even saying this, but it's really pissing me off that somehow she's trying to strategically position herself as Biden's VP or Trump's VP. Which one is it? Do you have proof or evidence that Tulsi Gabbard is somehow trying to do this three-dimensional chess? I don't see it at all. Tulsi Gabbard is running in the race to become the Democratic nominee. Now, I can't predict the future, but she has definitely made herself a name in American politics. She's not going anywhere. But the last thing Tulsi Gabbard is going to do is run as a third-party candidate. The last thing she's going to do is somehow position herself to be Biden's VP or Trump's VP. Unless you have evidence for it, unless there's a secret videotape recording of her saying these things, you're not adding in shit. You're just upset that she didn't play along with the two-party sports team. It's bullshit. Tulsi Gabbard represented every single American on the day that's tired of this hyper-partisan bullshit. She voted present, but you know what? I commend her courage on that. And you know what else? She has no reason to apologize to anyone. Period. It's over.
So I'm going to make this last point, which is the same point I made about a year ago when all of us saw Russiagate. Remember when Russiagate was the main thing? We saw that this was only going one way. The Democrats are saying Trump didn't win. They couldn't accept that they screwed up. The Democrats, in my book, and the reason I rag on the Democrats so much is the Democrats are the most powerful party. They just choose not to use it. They choose to organize themselves in a very, very weak way. And the second they decide to change that, they will win everything. Yep. So I always have them. Even if they're not the strongest party, they're always the strongest party. They went with Russiagate, which was their way of saying it wasn't our fault. Everything that bad that happened wasn't our fault. It was Russia, which of course empowered Putin in a huge number of ways that are detrimental to Russia. Then that completely falls on its face and they don't find anything. So then they go, it was the smaller country next door. That's what really it was. Now it's Ukraine. And that's about to fall on its face. So they keep escalating and escalating and escalating. You can't escalate past impeachment.
Yeah.
So right now, we said this a year ago, all they're doing is handing power over to Trump. Besides the fact that they are legally, continuously handing power over to Trump in bill after bill after bill after bill. Trump is going to win off of these because what will happen is, and we've learned this, how few people have taken civics. The amount of people that have reached out to us and been like, ha ha ha, you were wrong. Trump is now impeached. He will be out of office. And the amount of people we've had to explain, like, that's not how the system works. Both houses have to pass it just like any bill. Do you really not understand that? Impeachment is a two-part process. Just like a grand jury doesn't mean the person's in jail. It just means that a grand jury said that they can go to trial. So all this is going to do is get people, all the people that are so happy that we've been seeing, ooh, Trump's impeached, they're going to eventually realize that nothing happened, and they're going to feel lied to by the Democratic Party, whereas
And
Trump's
corporate
base will say, hey, Trump got lied. You know what really is scary? You know what really terrifies me? The idea that Trump has gotten through two of these impeachment processes right now. So the third time, because you know that the Democrats are going to try something else, the third time that they try and say something, even if it's real, if we have literal election fraud happening in the 2020 election and Democrats go, hey, there's election fraud, you know what's going to happen? Everyone's going to say, we don't believe you. And congratulations, Democrats. You're a failure.
Y'all, also, one other thing, too, I want to bring up, and this is from the chat. 2-Bit Rasputin says, what Constitution? Where's Chelsea Manning's Fifth Amendment rights? The Constitution was canceled when they when Congress voted to pass the Patriot Act out of a parking lot of the Capitol building. Yep, that's very true. And also, Lawrence Johnson, you said Representative Jeff Van Drew, thank you, of New Jersey, and Colin Peterson of Minnesota were the two Democrats that voted no. Huh. A lot of people aren't talking about them. I wish people would, but, stop smearing Tulsi Gabbard. And you know what, Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know if your campaign will see this or not, but keep calling out Nancy Pelosi because this is something that Nancy Pelosi has been drumming for quite some time. And I'm very proud of your vote. And so you have no reason to apologize. So keep pushing forward. So there. That's just my opinion. Not of Heartlands Media, not of Paul or Daniel. So
We all say our own opinions on this
I know.
show.
We all have our own different perspectives.
You know what? For the rest of the show, I'm going to speak for Kit.
Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. No problem. But, just again, because as a
That was
veteran.
easy. You gave that up just like that.
I'm very good at my negotiating skills.
Very good. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, sure. No problem. Actually, you know what? I won't be here for about 6 weeks. So, technically.
Okay. So we'll just do that. We'll say it right now. When Kit's gone, anything I say, Kit also agrees with. I think that Daniel should be paid $100 by Kit.
No, that's not going to.
Well, we've already said that. That's you're 2-1 now. I'm with Kit. You're with Kit.
No.
That's 2-1. Sorry.
No, I'm sorry. I don't got that kind of money, buddy. No.
Oh, the can of worms that was opened.
Oh no! What has happened? Democracy died. Democracy dies in darkness.
It's here. It's bright.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it is pretty bright. Look at this, guys. Look at this. It's bright outside Chicago.
Oh yeah, look at this. It's super bright.
So
Everyone's just like, what is the music for?